Hi, my name is Anna Bowling and I'm a student with Concordia University Online. I'm a master's student working on curriculum instruction and a reading endorsement. The purpose of this video is to share with you my artifacts for my advanced teaching competencies. So let's get started. For competency 1, assessing students, I'm showing you an example of a kit I put together when I go to assess students in their home. I use Ages and Stages questionnaire, the ASQ. I typically use the 36 to 42 month questionnaire, but I can go as young as 3 months and up to 5.5 years. There is 5 areas of development assessed in this questionnaire. There is communication, gross motor, fine motor, problem solving, and personal social. Many of the tools you see here on the table assess everything except gross motor. Let's see. I also use some assessments I developed based on the state standards and Common Core. These look at kindergarten standards and what students should know before starting kindergarten or early on in kindergarten. I assess how well they count, how well they recognize numbers, and if they can order their numbers given math manipulatives. I assess their knowledge of upper and lowercase alphabet, the colors that they know, the shapes that they know, and how well they can write their name. I also assess in the fall their cutting skills. So I give them this paper and ask them to follow the lines using just a pair of scissors and their own 2 hands. I reassess that in the spring, but I also look at phonemic awareness, if they know the sound of a letter and the name of the letter. I also check to know if they can represent beginning sound, ending sound, and if they can segment their words. I assess 3D shapes in the spring, pattern recognition, counting up from a number other than 1, a countdown from 10 to 0, how well they write their name, and also sight words. For competency 2, design instructional plans that incorporate knowledge of students' development levels, interests, abilities, and learning accomplishments consistent with goals and district standards. I'm showing you an example of a story map that I used during my action research project. I used this with a student that I tutor 3 times a week. And this student showed interest in drawing as well as books on the ocean and animals. So I found a story for this student about a girl and a boy and their day on the beach. This is an example of their work, and this student suffered from a lot of anxiety in class, and it resulted in extreme behaviors, and she also had difficulty completing assignments. This intervention helped her to feel more confident in her work and also to complete assignments in a timely manner. Also, I will have displayed in my portfolio an example of a small group lesson that also uses a sequencing chain. Competency 3 is establishing classroom climate conducive to learning. So positive classroom management, safe and developmentally appropriate environment, efficient organization of time and materials, and effective transitions. This is a picture of a poster that I typically have up in my classroom, but this year my students are not quite ready for it. It says, I feel. They get to choose a face of how they feel, put it up there, and then define that face, because, and then explain the problem that they encountered. And then they get to choose a new thing for next time. Next time I will share, say please, walk away, ignore, get a teacher, say stop please, or trade toys. This allows them to find a solution that is age appropriate, and also they can use this chart independently after they've been trained with a teacher. I'd also like to give you a tour of my classroom. As you can see, everything's very low to the ground. I'll kneel down here so you can see it better. This is an example of our library. We have nice soft places to sit, books, and on the wall are pictures of our students that they get to put up when they get here. That's a Who's Here board. Also, we have a light table. Once again, it's labeled beautifully. It has areas to store supplies that are used on the light box. We have some below and above. This is very age appropriate for my students who are between the ages of 2 and 5. Up above here is an example of artwork displayed once again with their picture so that they can take ownership of their work. These are the toy shelves. A lot of learning toys over here, mostly math and a little bit of language in this area. The shelves are so nicely labeled. My co-teacher helped me do this. There's a picture for every toy so they know exactly where it goes, as well as a label. An example of building blocks over here and trains. These invite a lot of cooperative play. We enjoy these daily. We also have some lacing cards down there, music, and some large animals. Over here is the dramatic play area. They really enjoy this kitchen. Again, it's labeled so they know where everything goes. The puppet show, they can remove the curtain on their own, and the puppets are stored nicely behind it. We have some dolls and a bucket so they can play house here, complete with a kitchen table. And we also have some dress up for them. Over here is another building and play area. Once again, a lot of cooperative play here, which is a big focus in my classroom to help them to regulate emotion. And some more building supplies. We have a sensory table. This is our fall sensory. We have leaves, pine cones, and mini pumpkins in here. Once again, this is very low level, right at their level, so they can easily access what's inside. Over here, again labeled beautifully by my co-teacher, is our art supplies. Children have free access over here to anything on the shelf during playtime. And right here is an example of journals. Our students each have access to a journal so they can record any feelings or artwork that they would like. We can assist with that, or they are encouraged to do it independently. We have paper supplies there, manipulatives for big, medium, and small. Our beautiful art easel, alphabet chart, and here is one of my favorite things. It's a pictorial schedule, and our beautiful smiley face here moves so they can switch it to know which transition we're moving into. And also on the floor, we have these nice shapes for them to stand on for when we transition outside. And numbers over here can transition for when we go to wash our hands for lunch. That's our nice science area and our art rack. So while they're waiting to go here, we often sing our ABCs with the chart there while they're waiting for their friends. We move Mr. Smiley Face so we know where we're going, and then we go out into our play yard, which again is very kid-friendly. Everything is their level, their size. They can easily get on the swings themselves. We have a nice play yard back here for where we store our bikes. They have a mud kitchen right at their level, and a very large sandbox right under that roof there. And their small table. So we work very hard to make sure the environment is inviting and it encourages a lot of independence. So moving on to our next competency, competency 4. It's implement instructional plans that employ knowledge of subject matter and use research-based educational practices. to reflect how students learn, are sensitive to individual differences and diverse cultures, and encourage parent participation. First thing I'd like to show you is our classroom newsletter. Up here is an example of parent tips that I like to do to encourage parents to help their children be successful. This month, for October, we haven't gotten out the November yet, the October newsletter focused on bedtimes and how important it is that our children get a good night's sleep, and that routine creates stability in their life, something they can count on, and it's more easy for them to regulate emotion. Upcoming events, which all parents are invited to, is listed on the side. We just finished our pumpkin patch field trip on October 15th, and our family fun night is coming up soon. We give a quick rundown of what we're working on in the classroom. In the first month, we were enjoying the beautiful weather, and we were focusing on sharing and patience with our friends. This is an example of a lesson plan I designed for a mainstream kindergarten classroom, focusing on the sound ing, I-N-G. We were able to act out action words with ing. We created a story using pictures, and each group of students got to write a sentence to go with it. At the end, we read it together. Competency 5 is collaborate with parents, colleagues, and members of the community to provide internal and external assistance to students and their families. Part of the original assessment I do is called Risk Factor Checklist. It's done at an intake interview. And I assess the family and see where they might be needing more assistance. It looks at family violence, poverty, child welfare, mental health, medical, and other risk factors that they might be encountering, such as English language difficulties, single parent families, and any substance abuse that might be going on as well. And then the last section that we look at is historical risk factors. What have these children in this family experienced in the past? This risk factor really helps me to get to know the families and the children to see what I can do to support them even further. Another artifact for this area is our goal sheet. We set goals. What do we want? Signs we're getting closer, the objective. How we're going to get there, the interventions we've come up with. Who's going to do it, me or the parents? When are we starting? And then this last column is what happened. So this family, we are encouraging to strengthen their family bonds, to relieve stress, because they're experiencing a lot of change right now. So we've asked them to set aside time for their family to get together and spend time as a group. We've offered to help them come up with a list of ideas, and we helped create a family calendar with them. And they are going to be responsible for planning and participating in those events every month from now on. And we started it right away in October. Another goal this family had was to get more dressers. They have some kitty cats in their household who like to get into the clean clothes and make a mess out of them. So their goal is to find dressers, and we are going to assist them by looking for free furniture on Craigslist, and once we find it, we will inform them. We also use the same goal sheet to make classroom goals. This student needed to work on responding to verbal cues, and so we set up a little how-to on getting her more capable of responding to those verbal cues. Another area that we wanted to work on was sharing toys and collaborative play with friends. So again, we mapped it out for the parents, and we give them a copy of this to work on. Another thing I would like to share with you for that is collaborating with parents and colleagues to assist families is our beautiful community board. We work as a team here, so everybody involved whether it's the cook, the front office lady, or myself or my co-teacher Jamie. We collect resources from the community to see where and how we can help our families, such as the YMCA, food banks, early intervention, just fun stuff for families, our newsletter and flyers, and scholastic resources back here. Let's see. Right above where our children hang up their coats, as you can see it's at their eye level, we have some more information for families of what's going on here in the center. We have a family fun night coming up, and here we have posted the menu. So just encourage a lot of family participation, getting to know each other, and asking us for help and support when they need it. Alright, the next one I'd like to share with you is Competency 6. Evaluating student progress and learning. This is an example of an observation sheet that my co-teacher and I use. Each square is for a student. We put their name in it, and then we make observations during the day in different areas of development. Also down below is group observations. Group learning growth. You can see here they're participating better in circle time. Interests that we've noticed, they're very interested in animals. Difficulties, they've had difficulty sharing, recognizing others' feelings, and cleaning up. And we also look at how well they're using centers. They're using the building center and ramps right now. And so we've added to that and also tried to create more room for that. Another artifact in this area was my teacher journal observations. This was with the student that I tutor, and this was during my action research project. It just maps out behaviors and whether or not the interventions I was using are working. It's a really neat way to look back and see growth as well as adjust your daily lessons. For Competency 7, document and report the progress of students in achieving content goals and district standards, I have here part of my grades. So for diagnosis and assessment of reading, I put my transcript here for course 551. Grade A, credit hours of 3, and I have full quality points on that one. I do feel like I learned a lot about diagnosing reading. And to go along with that, in my practicum, I got to look at DIBELS testing. Here's the summary of how the DIBELS system works. Everything is automated now. You can use their database and store a lot of information. This also provides goals that are realistic for specific age groups and reading levels. So it maps out different grades, what their fluency should be, their retail quality, and words per minute. Great, easy reference to use. For Competency 8, here's an example of a professional development that I went to. It's through Kairos. And this one helped me to recognize the importance of understanding how adverse childhood experiences can affect their learning and growth. So I learned how to identify key adverse childhood experiences through a study, and it helps me to understand how they react, how they manage behavior, establish relationships, and develop thinking skills, which is very important to my placement this year. Also listed is a copy of my transcript for the advanced teaching, advanced techniques for teaching reading. Again, full quality points there. I do feel like I learned a lot. And Competency 9, participate in designing, evaluating, and improving opportunities for teaching and learning in an educational institution. This is my transcript for theories of teaching and learning. Again, full quality points. And also I feel like as lead teacher here that I do have a lot of influence, and more of our professional development is dedicated to what we're experiencing right now, children in crisis, and how to help those families. Competency 10, collaborate with one's colleagues to enhance job performance and advance teaching as a profession. This is an example of the weekly planning form that my co-teacher and I use. We look at all the different areas and how we can incorporate learning into those, both developmentally and social emotionally. Here's one that we've mapped out. So our ramp materials we added to the blocks because that's where they were showing interest. And not only did it enhance their collaborative play, but it also encouraged them to ask questions about momentum and motor skills. Dramatic play, we added new outfits to encourage more play. We talked about food, where it come from, and let's see, we watched videos on how ice cream and butter are made, and we got to make those ourselves last week. And also here on the side is a to-do list, things we can add. Also in this binder, we have observations for each student. Complete with pictures and descriptions. The full observation sheets of the entire class, and our past weekly planning sheet.